Two guys again, good to see you. I'm Steve,
I'm Adam.
and tonight we're going to talk about special days, or maybe not special days. Adam, what's we all have those days that are record-setting, or big achievement days that we celebrate, big event days. What's maybe one of the biggest days in your life that you could think of?
Boy, I could think of a lot of them, right? From marriage to birth of my kids to when I was ordained. But one that sticks in my mind immediately is whenever I graduated from grad school. I was, an older student, had kids at home, all that sort of stuff. It took me a little longer to get there. But even with that, I think back to all of the steps of that process, right? We think about grad school. It took me about 3 years to finish my master's, but that didn't start 3 years prior to that. It didn't start 10 years prior to that. Right? That process started whenever I was little bitty, before I ever started school, and my mom read to me.
Yeah.
And I went to kindergarten, and I think back to all of those teachers and other people that helped to mold my academic career.
Yeah. And how many nights were there, those stressful nights of getting ready for the exam, or getting that paper finished, or they were part of the process, but nobody saw that. Nobody.
Right.
And I like in Psalm 139. It's a good reminder where the psalmist says, Lord, you knew all of my days, every single one before there was one. Even those days that don't get the press, that don't get the attention, to the Lord, they were important enough to plan those out.
Right. Well, and I think of all those mundane days, right? The days that the toilet's clogged, and I've got to help Caleb with algebra and whatever else it is that's going on. And those days, it's easy to be discouraged. It's easy to think that we're not accomplishing anything.
Yeah.
And yet those days set up those successful days, right? Helping him with his algebra today, even though it made me want to chew on a pencil, sets him up for graduating from high school and being able to move on from there.
Yeah. I remember a story of Corrie ten Boom, a lady who was a believer, went through a Nazi concentration camp. Her family had tried to hide some Jewish families and were arrested, and she lost a sister there. She lost her parents, and she survived, about the only member of her family. But she said later on, our life is like a tapestry. And then what we notice about a tapestry are the brilliant colors, the reds, the blues, the gold, the silver. Those stand out to us, but they wouldn't stand out nearly as much without the black.
Right.
Without that part that is not the vibrant.
Well, and it's the borders, it's the margin that allows those to stand out, that allows us to recognize the beauty. And one of the big promises for me as we think about that is, it's promised that Jesus will never leave us. He'll never forsake us, right? He even tells us in Matthew 28, verse 20, there right at the end, after he's given what we call the Great Commission, he says, and I'm going to be with you always to the very end of the age.
That's a long time.
Yeah, it
Yes.
is.
All the way to the end of the age. And here's our, let's leave this with you tonight, or today. Whenever you read this or watch this. Take the time to enjoy the day. It may be the most mundane, average, ordinary, routine day of your life, but enjoy it. And understand that God has purpose and meaning in this day. And take the time. You may never see that. It may be years before you see it. You may have to wait for eternity to see what God was doing. But trust this. He is working in your life today. No matter whether it's a big celebrative day or it's just an ordinary day that nobody else even notices. Take the time to enjoy it.
And I'd remind you of what the psalmist writes, right? This is the day that the Lord's made.
Amen.
I'll rejoice and be glad in it.
And that's a good place to end. Have a good week.